What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first edition of a 0.5. That's a real fuck you to the guest. As a 0.5 episode, bonus episode.
If it's beer and you have to drive somewhere, right? Isn't that how that works?
I mean, you probably shouldn't be doing that. Do you guys have?
Oh, shit. I had a friend who did
Yeah.
that, whose dad did that all the time. Whenever he'd drive us to the lake on the weekend, he would have a 0.5 beer on the dash.
He would
That's
like
not
he would
okay?
measure it out.
Oh no, it was like one of those 0.5 beers.
Oh,
No?
got it.
Yeah.
Was he driving to the lake to like run away from the cops and his life and kind of like start
Come
anew?
to think of it, he was really drunk. So
Yeah.
that was probably his like, oh, this is not really drinking, Ossifer.
Yeah, what was there actually a lake? Was he like, I'm taking you kids to the lake? Was the lake a bar? Was the lake you guys having to sit in the parking lot while daddy went in to rent a boat and it was just him getting drunk while you guys sat in there? I don't see water. He's like, shut up.
Welcome to the lake. Yeah, so but what this actually is this is our first Gym Spotlight Edition episode. So we're doing double episodes now for people who want to sponsor their own episode. We're going to jump on here with you and or maybe your coach or vice versa to put some spotlight on your gym. And this is the first of a few that are going to be coming out. I
love the idea that a bunch of people from this gym are going to tune in to hear how great their fucking gym is, why they support it, why they love it, why they're keeping their membership. Maybe some of them haven't heard Rear Naked Radio. And the first thing they're going to hear is a sad alcoholic dad story. But I also
catches them up to speed,
That's exactly. That is our tone. So I'm really excited about this. One of our Rear Naked Radio pathogens, Mark, was so quick to, we'll talk about this with him, but was so quick to, here's what it is. I'll explain this and then we'll talk about that with him. What this is during quarantine time, we lost a sponsor. So instead of our original idea, Suicide Pact,
right.
And then our plan B, drive Drew's kids to the lake. We went with plan C, which is we're like, how can we help out other gyms? And the answer isn't, we'll charge them, right? Like charge these gyms to sponsor on our show, because that sucks. That would be like if Flow Grappling didn't make their prices a little cheaper for the month, considering there's no new content.
They would never do that.
They would never do that. But Helen, who works on the show, was like, Helen Harper was like, what if you guys, like, what about like the students? And they could show their support for the gym. And then Drew and I were like, oh, and we'll cut the sponsorship price like in half. And then Drew and I have an excuse to do an extra episode and show you guys that we're fucking hustling during all of this. And we're going to do these little mini episodes highlighting your gym. So if you want us to feature your gym on an episode, I believe we're going to do Helen's gym, and then we're open. If you guys want it, we will. You can email Rear Naked Radio podcast at gmail.com or DM the new Instagram, which shot over 1,000. Thank you guys at Rear Naked Radio on Instagram.
Perfect. Yeah, so this is going to be fun because this first 0.5 guest, I should explain what 0.5 is last episode was episode 19. I'm sorry, was that episode 20? No, it's episode 19 with Fionn Davies. And then the one coming up right away is going to be episode 20, first one of the second season, shout out, with the great and powerful Kyle Kingsbury. This is going to be in between those, dropping on the weekends before the Monday release of Kyle's episode.
Yes. Now, Drew.
Yes.
How was your experience with Kyle Kingsbury for people who are new to the podcast? And Kyle's not on social media anymore because he's elevated above that. So it's going to be up to you guys to spread the word. And like my opinion on this episode, I want Drew's, because Drew is sober. Drew is married. Drew, there's not a lot that you and Kyle have in common besides fighting.
I mean, besides just like big muscles.
Huge muscles. Right. So big. Your muscles are so big.
Thank you. I thought you'd noticed.
Good.
Kate, I felt, you know what it's like when you're first time doing like, I don't know, wakeboarding or water
No.
skiing, and
No.
you're sitting
Drew, there
with the
was
tow
no
rope.
Drew, there was no lake. You weren't wakeboarding. You were in a parking lot.
He told me we were going to the lake.
No. He was dragging you along with his fucking station wagon. You were probably on some fucking piece of wood with nails popping out of it.
Okay,
Look,
well,
man,
in my
not okay.
In my broken memory of what my friend's dad took me to, we would
blacked out for your.
We sit in the lake on the wakeboard with
Yeah.
a tow rope that is loose attached to a drunk man in a speedboat. And then the drunk man would go from 0 throttle to all throttle.
Yep.
And you would watch the rope as it gets further away and gets slightly tighter, and then immediately just snap and you're off and you're holding on for dear life. And that was basically my experience with the podcast, because I had almost no control over what was going on. It was amazing, but I was just hanging on for the ride.
Yep. No, the universe did. The universe controls those conversations. Well,
that being said, absolutely an amazing episode. It's a great way to start off season 2. Jamie does mushrooms on the second half. So
I do.
You do.
I sure do.
That's the first time we've done that on the podcast.
Yeah.
I took full advantage of that, being the one not on mushrooms. It was very fun, hilarious.
Thank God it didn't kick in like hard yet. It was just the like initial kind of like giggly.
I was so excited.
Cool boy. But I had Kyle, who is a psychedelic guru, give me an intention before doing it, which I was kind of nervous to ask him because I didn't know if he was gonna be like, no. And he took his job so seriously and did, like, dude, I don't know if you can tell, because we've been talking about mental health on the podcast, which just means like we've been talking about Jamie being sad and quarantine and stuff. Like, I once again feel like a different fucking person.
Nice.
And I'm just like lit up. And yeah, I mean, Kyle, the intention he gave me is what happened. Like I did that. That is where I kind of did the inner work, which is really cool. So what we did with Kyle, so you guys know, or if you're new to the podcast, so if you're brand new to the podcast and you're from this Edmonton gym and you're listening to support the gym, 1, spread the word, subscribe, all that shit. But 2, we've interviewed.
Jump in here right away.
Cool. We've interviewed fighters, Carlos Condit, Jake Shields, fucking Claudia Duval, Huron Gracie, Kenny Florian, all these people. And we've interviewed them about like fighter shit. But the Kyle Kingsbury episode, we kind of took another approach and we talked a lot about his like mindfulness balanced with fighting and shit like that, because that's what he's known for. Yin yang, blah, blah, blah.
Don't miss it. Yeah, episode 20 coming up. But before that, we've got Mike Yackulic here coming in from Edmonton, Alberta. I'm super excited about this one because Mike is actually a large part of my journey from white belt to black belt. He was the person who put on the first tournament I ever competed at way back in the day. One of the very first black belts in the province. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me out. That's
yeah, man.
Which tournament was it that you were at, Drew?
It was one of the original submission series.
Oh, yeah, submission series. Yeah.
Back when it was round robin, sub only.
Yeah, yeah, all the fun stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I made it through my second match before I puked and had to quit.
Well, it's a good, memorable experience. Man, how many people had a bad tournament experience and quit, right? So many. And then how many had a good or bad experience and then, like, dove in? Man, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember coming back from that tournament and talking to my coach on the Monday class afterwards. And I think I emailed him like a 12-paragraph long what I did wrong and how I'm going to fix it. And he's like, dude, you've been training for 3 weeks. You weren't going to win.
No, but that's exactly what someone who's been training for 3 weeks will do.
Right.
Like when I was training for 3 weeks, I probably went up to Marcelo and was just like, this is all I want to do with my life. Like you know what I mean? Like how many white belts are like cleaning the fucking mats and, you know, all this stuff. I threw up after before jiu-jitsu. I had a Muay Thai fight, won, did great. Then stopped, went to the locker room and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then suddenly I was like, I don't feel well. And like, I didn't know about like these like fucking crashes. And like, I started crashing so hard. And I remember going outside in New York City, like in the snow and like a tank top and these dumb fucking tie shorts and just like all over the sidewalk.
Oh, gross.
And
you fit right in on the New York culture. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. They probably just thought I was a drunk.
So, Professor Mike, for people who don't know, why don't you introduce yourself, a little bit of your background? I know you've done a lot more than just jiu-jitsu, and you've got a hell of an affiliation that you're running here in Alberta.
Well, Mike, I'm so sorry. I just already want to cut you off. Both of you. Everyone shut up. The reason we're doing this, Mike, and I don't know how much you know, but someone in your affiliation cared so strongly about your school and what it's done for them, and making sure that you guys keep getting supported. That's why we're doing these mini episodes, that you keep getting supported during this quarantine. That's kind of why we're spotlighting you. So we want to talk about, obviously your background, get to know you, blah, 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 blah. But also, after that, kind of get into what makes that gym special, what makes the community special, how you guys are thriving during this time. So maybe other gym owners can learn from that while they're struggling. I'm done now. I'm going to stop being the caricature of an impolite American and let the Canadians talk.
Sure. Well, I started jiu-jitsu. I always had a natural tendency to kind of gravitate towards that. Growing up, had little skirmishes, and that's always something that made sense, not striking. But there was no jiu-jitsu in Alberta in, was it 92? I went to college in Red Deer. And there's, UFC just came out. So I remember a couple of, I did karate because, hey, Jean-Claude Van Damme did karate. Or, I want to be like, all the girls wanted him, all the guys wanted to be like him, right? So I thought, I'm going to go do karate because that looks really cool. And fortunately, the group that I got involved with was very open to the idea of exploring other martial arts. And that kind of led into some really sketchy jiu-jitsu.
Isn't that how it always starts?
With a lot of pressure points and, I saw the UFC, let's try to replicate what happened. So that was, it was interesting, right?
That's fucking awesome.
It makes me appreciate, when you get an old jiu-jitsu gi that's really baggy, and then nowadays everyone's got the nice gis that are custom fit and they can be tall or wide or whatever else. And you're like, this is an awesome gi.
Origin man.
At the beginning, it was just crap, right?
Yeah.
And that's what my jiu-jitsu was at the beginning. It was crap. You can't appreciate that until you see where you end up. And so about 1997, Kyle Cardinal had a tournament in Edmonton.
Let's Roll.
Yeah, Let's Roll, his very first one. Yeah. And I saw a little flyer somewhere. I thought, I'll go check it out. It was $5 to watch it and $7 to enter. So me being a pretty badass green belt in karate, thought, I'm going to go to this jiu-jitsu tournament and then see what it's all about.
Just wait, how many people went there to watch and then threw in an extra $2 to go kick some ass?
I don't know. I did. I rode my bike there and just I'll go check this out. I thought, I didn't know what to expect at all. And not a lot of weight classes. Of course, you can imagine 1997, there's probably about 30 people total.
Oh, wow.
My first, no experience levels, all mismatched. My first.
This is much like your hero, Jean-Claude Van Damme, fighting in parking lots in Lionheart. You just show up, everyone's waving money, and then you get to do it. This is perfect.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience. Fought a judo black belt. He threw me instantly, landed with a guard, and having an idea what a guard is, but no idea what to do from guard, and just held him there for about 12 minutes. He headbutted me.
Oh my God.
Kept trying to cross choke me inside the guard.
Yeah, that's a judo move.
Didn't know an arm bar. So what the hell, just hold on to this guy, and I'm tall, so it worked out. So I ended up tapping to the cross choke because I thought, okay, this is stupid. I don't know what I'm doing. It's been 12 minutes and we're not getting anywhere.
The pressure points have not worked.
Yeah, none of this gooning. So, second match, so I lost that one. Second match, buddy jump guard on me. Of course, being a green belt in karate, I don't know the jiu-jitsu rules, so I just looked. I jumped up and I pancaked the guy on the mats. And his guard exploded.
Yeah.
So, big slam. Passed his guard, tried to choke him with his shirt, and it was just ripping, wasn't working. And I just grabbed his wrist and I pushed it over my leg, and I got an arm bar. So I'm like, sweet, got an arm bar.
Amazing.
And then third match, fought a judo brown belt and thought, I've seen these guys do takedowns. I'm going to try to do a takedown. So I went for a big double leg, like this, of course.
Yep.
And guillotined me in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
That's where I was hooked. It was like, okay, I need to know what's going on.
And same deal to what you were telling Drew, where it's like you had a bunch of quote unquote bad things happen, and you could have left. Not only that, you could have left and you could have been like, well, if I could use fucking karate if I could have done like splits and shit, it would have worked. But there is something really I mean, that's what I love about so many people's jiu-jitsu stories. I mean, everybody's pretty much, no one's killing it, which is, and same with stand-up. Everyone's stories are like, oh yeah, the first fucking 10 years were horrible. And like, there's something about the kind of person that wants to stick with that and wants to just keep getting better and then can laugh at these stories. I mean, the fact that it's still so ingrained in your memory, it's like, yeah, because this shit is special and it sticks with you.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. Like, it's partly being stubborn and partly that need to know, like, there's something there.
Yes, yes.
This is going to make me a better person. And, you know, when I was young, all I wanted to do was kind of scrap and you know, challenge myself that way, test myself. And, you know, I got into karate because that was what was available and fell into a good group. But karate led to MMA because what I didn't like about karate is the touch contact. Well, but what if I got punched in the face, like, hard?
Yeah.
What if I got kicked in the head? And I found that out from doing MMA.
Right.
So it's like, how does that affect your game and your thought process? So it's very, maybe, you know, really the way I want to delve into it was very structured. I wanted to see how I could react in different situations. And of course, jiu-jitsu is something that was always natural to me. So
I just remembered while you looked up to Jean-Claude Van Damme, I am you're a good-looking man. I was not, and so I looked up to Steven Seagal, and instead of a karate class, I took an Aikido class in.
Did you wear the skirt?
I think that's just the black belts and stuff.
Wait, you have to earn the skirt?
I think you earn, you earn being demoralized, and so it keeps you humble, dude.
Right.
And so I was like down. I was like 10. It was at the local like YMCA, and you know, we did the break falls, and like that was cool. And I never did like a forward roll and blah blah blah. And we would do like the beginning of throws, and when I walked. And again, I'm like 10 years old. And when I was like, what the fuck, was they did, I will never forget this, a drill where you're supposed to be simulating a robbery. And so someone would hold a dollar bill out like this.
What?
And then you would like, the bad guy would like run up to you, grab the wrist with the dollar bill, then come around like behind you. And like, dude, this wasn't just a kids class. This was like a mixed kids and like adults. Like there were grownups holding the money out like this. And that's when I was just like, nah, this shit's bullshit. And I bounced right away.
So they're teaching you how to rob people then?
Yeah, you know what? As I retell this story, I'm like, that really is. Yeah, you wear the skirt so you don't seem like scary, so you take them by surprise.
Right.
And then you hold the dollar out as bait. Yeah, I don't know.
You were really close to being initiated into a New York kids thievery gang. You didn't even know it.
Yeah, think classic New York thievery gangs.
So, Mike, I know. As somebody in the same scene, that you were one of those foundational pillars as far as the scene is concerned. You were around very early, one of the first black belts in the area. Now that it is the year 2020, you've instantiated yourself into the scene, both in tournaments as well as satellite affiliations. I think you're the most senior Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in the Arashido schools, right?
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. So tell me, like, how have you been dealing with this whole situation with the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, besides like being sad I don't get to teach the way I want to teach, it's been not so bad. Like, I'm trying to stay positive. And the one thing that I think I've really taken away from this is I'm getting myself back into shape. Like, you know, get a little bit stronger, working on my flexibility, and just rehabbing nagging injuries, which I'm sure like you guys, you know, I've had for several years. And that's really frustrating to not, you know, I put that time aside to focus on the students or other things that the students need or the school needs. And then now it's like, oh, I have some time for myself. Like, I haven't been able to do that for a long time. So I'm really appreciating that. We've been very lucky to have a supportive school base. So maybe to kind of backtrack a little bit, for the organization I'm with is under Silvio Berino out of Brazil. Met him in 2004, went to Brazil, got a blue belt, whatever stories back then is great. Eventually climbed through the ranks, got my black belt. And with Arashido, one of the things that we have in Arashido is that we're primarily karate based, right? We're so traditional martial arts school. The instructors saw the value in other martial arts like Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu and MMA, and they encouraged us to go spread out and do that. And because of that, it's been a very interesting situation that we're in, where people that run martial arts schools tend to be alpha males, and they like to be the captain of their own ship. But Arashido has been really good about, hey, you're the captain of your ship, you're the captain of your ship. How about we all kind of go this way together and sail together and go farther? And we've been very respectful and very, sometimes you have to compromise for what you want to do, and that just makes the group stronger. So because of that, we've now have 21 schools in Alberta, which is, we're only in Alberta. About, what was it? Something like 2,500 members, Arashido wide. So karate, Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu, those are the primary programs they're in. And now because of starting that karate thing and me going into Jiu Jitsu, a lot of other school owners and karate black belts have realized, like, hey, that looks cool, I want to do that too. So I think out of all the school owners we have, there's got to be maybe a third to almost a half are Jiu Jitsu black belts now. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So obviously Jiu Jitsu is kind of the buzzword, and it's really grown. I can't speak terribly for each school, because it's not like, again, I'm not the captain that says, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's more, hey, this is what our system is. We want you to follow it. We'll help you out, follow it. If you want to go into other more elaborate things, you're more than welcome to do that. But just, this is our core thing that we're working on. And I think that wanting to share and be open to everybody has really helped make our group strong. And for my school, myself, like, we've had a really good support so far this month. Optimistic for May, but we'll see what that brings.
It's a very Bernie Sanders approach. I love it. I have a personal question and then a gym question. I mean, what's really interesting is I've seen a lot of people who have like bigger name schools, like globally, like more recognizable. Obviously you have like a huge affiliation in Alberta, really kind of like start to fucking panic. And I was talking to my friend Josh, who runs a school in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. It's really small, what you would imagine, like, just like a Midwestern little jiu-jitsu gym, nothing fancy. And I was talking to him and he's like, oh yeah, we haven't lost one person. In fact, I sent out an email that said I was going to put accounts on hold, and at least 15 people already have written me and said, I want to continue to pay. And so it was really interesting to me to see someone completely off the grid who isn't really sweating it. I mean, obviously sad, disappointed, misses his students, all that stuff. But what do you think it is about schools like that, schools like yours, that do continue to foster such a supportive community that people aren't just looking at it like a fucking just regular gym where they're like, yeah, I'm not going to pay? Like there's got to be something special to be a month in to literally being quarantined where they cannot use the services they are paying for, and they still want to either pay or at the very least, like, not quit.
That's a really good question, and it's nice because I think I could have an answer for it, and I can relate to that. It sounds like Josh has got the right plan. He's doing a really good job. One of the things that I heard years ago from a different martial arts instructor is, like, he's had X amount of black belts. I can't remember. It was like students. It's like, I've taught over 10,000 people in my life, and that was like 15 years ago. I heard that, and I thought, well, that sucks because you don't have 15,000 black belts,
right?
Or whatever it is. Like, that's sad. So one thing that I really, really focused on is building retention. And I think a really big part of that is being careful. Like, when you have members, new people come in, making sure it's a good fit for them. And fortunately in Edmonton, we have enough schools in Edmonton that we're not stepping on each other's toes, but we all offer similar but yet different things. So if someone came in and said, like, look, I want to do MMA, I'll make sure that's what they want to do. Like, hey, is that what you want to do, MMA, and why? Okay, you know what? I'm not a big MMA guy. Go check out Hayabusa, because they're the guys that are kind of steering that, running that thing. And that's going to make them happier, because now that group has people that are like-minded, and I'm going to bring in people there in my school that are like-minded for me. So it's really important. Like, we give a 30-day trial for free. And a lot of people give me a little guff about that. But the reason why is it's not just for you to see if we're a good fit for you, which it is, but it's also, are you a good fit for the students I have on the mat? Because there's no one more important to me than my members. And if we have some goon come in, which we've had over the years, and then try to rip someone's head off, well, now I got to jump in, and it makes me feel like a dick because I'm 6'2", 230 pounds, and now I got to go put you, in your place, and that I don't like that. That's not the kind of guy I am. So it's I really look after the students, and that goes into your friend Josh. Like he knows his students. He's invested in their personal growth through martial arts. And when people understand that, I think they realize, oh, there's more than just learning how to armbar someone or throw a punch and a kick. They actually care about me, and I do.
And also, I mean, and I tell people this when they ask advice about comedy or art or podcasting or whatever, like in that moment where you have that goon, a strictly businessman would go, all right, I have to still figure out a way to keep this guy at any cost. And whereas someone like you is like, if this is putting my students who I care about in danger, I'm going to put it to him. If he's going to change, cool. But if not, like, fuck him. I don't need another customer that badly. Where I think the people who are probably going to suffer the most right now are the ones who just want signups for signups' sake, instead of, maybe it's harder in the beginning to build up when you're doing it for the right reasons, but the retention will, same with podcast audiences, right? If you're doing what you think people want to hear, it's not really going to last. But if you're authentically yourself, it may take a little longer to build an audience, but that fucking audience will stay with you till the end because they are the right audience.
Absolutely, man. You're just building a solid foundation. And yeah, I totally agree on it. And I have no problems. Like, there's lots of people in Edmonton, and there's, lots of schools, but there's more than enough to go around. So why not have the people that you want to hang out with? Like, I get excited to come to class, not like, oh, I got to go deal with that guy again. Like at the beginning, what you're just saying is like, well, I got to pay rent, so I got to take this goon. But all right, like, I'll green light him for a little while and then have fun until I don't need him anymore. But that's not doesn't make me feel good, and it's not good for the class.
Right. Yeah, no, that's smart. That's a wisdom move that a lot of new gym owners may either have to figure out for themselves or learn the hard way. Like we're seeing now when it matters, when you need those customers to help you out in a hard time and they don't. I mean, I can speak as not only somebody in the same scene, but as a tournament promoter in the same scene. That Mike is always very. He's helping everybody grow for the sake of the scene, which is something that as a business you don't have to do, and is kind of, as a capitalist, counterintuitive, but it builds the scene as a whole in Alberta stronger. And I think that's really helped, because I know there's other areas that I've either gone into helping other promotions or I've looked into taking my own that are just absolutely not welcoming to other people coming into their scene, even if there's room for it. So I think that fostering attitude at like the base level that you're doing it, Mike, at your gym, has actually in a large way affected the Alberta community as a whole.
Oh, thanks. Like, I love competition. I'm maybe not the focus I have right now at this time in my life, but for decades, that's what all I want to do is compete and test myself. And I want to give other people the opportunity to do that. So, and you probably noticed that a lot of my tournaments, I don't have sponsors. And I always kind of felt like, well, one, you run a tournament and it's a lot of stress, and every year it's kind of like, oh, why am I doing this again? It's a lot of work, and there's always going to be someone upset, and you can't make everybody happy, but you're making a lot of people very happy, and you make some money. And I don't need sponsors, because like, what am I going to use with that sponsor money? Then it just goes in my pocket. Like, this doesn't feel right. Like, the tournament's enough to sustain itself and offer a good event where I can still pay referees well and have something good. So I don't want to be greedy. I just want people to have fun. And I guess that's it. Like, that's my jiu-jitsu in my school and in a tournament. Like, I want people to have a good time. I want them to have fun. I want them to get what they want out of it, as long as we can all get that together. And some people are like uber competitive, and maybe that's not the tournament you want to be at. Is my, in-house tournament is not the tournament for you then.
I love that you're showing you can make a living as a decent person, where I'm like, jiu-jitsu, where the promoter isn't pocketing all the money and is paying people. This is fucking ridiculous. I wanted to ask you a personal question. When you said this is the new, I kind of asked Kyle Kingsbury this on Monday's episode. This is the new segment I will now call Help Jamie Not Die During Quarantine. When you not only said, so a lot of people, when you ask them about like working out, during this, especially like for me, I wasn't athletic until I found jiu-jitsu, you know. Like I've talked about it on the show, but like I literally failed gym class in high school because I was just a owner. And then I got really good at jiu-jitsu because I loved it. So for me, it's been really hard to motivate myself. I know for a lot of the listeners, it's been really hard. It's easy for it to feel like vacation and you just eat shitty, blah, blah, blah. But when you said not only, because usually what you hear when you ask people about working out is they go, oh, I'm trying my best, hanging in like when I can. But when you said, I wrote it down, when you were like, I'm using this opportunity to become like stronger than I've ever been, I was just like, Jesus Christ, man, like gauntlet throw down. Like, what are you telling yourself? Or like, what is your self-talk for that? Because we're so used to these highs from jiu-jitsu for either the camaraderie or the competition, and to say, you know, and for me, like, I don't know how to lift weights. I don't like it. I started running just so I don't fucking die and I can continue to eat shitty. But what is that motivation, or what would you tell a student who is like, help me adapt that attitude?
So yeah, nice question. It's I'll answer it with yoga, because I hate stretching. I hate stretching. And if you've been to my school, it's definitely like, I try to have a good class, like good warm up, good exercises, good techniques, and then good fun, good rolling, good drilling. And when it comes time to stretching, it's like, oh, well, if you want to stretch afterwards. And I hate it. It drives me nuts.
Me too.
And now I'm doing yoga up to like almost an hour a day, but it started at like 10 minutes. It's just 10 minutes of just like this couple poses. And the next day, 10 minutes. The next day, I'm like, oh, you know, this is a little tight. I'm going to add this part in. I'm going to add this one in. And of course, I have something to follow along with, but it's nice because it was in chunks that were bite size. And then the same thing with the kettlebells that I'm doing. Like every day, it's like, I don't want to work out more than 10 minutes. That sucks. Like, I just want to like feel like I'm working out. And all of a sudden, now you're doing like a workout that's a half hour long, and you got 45 minutes to an hour of yoga, and you're like, man, I feel great.
Yeah.
I think if you're not stretching and you're not lifting weights, man, put a weight in your hand and stretch for 15 seconds. You'd be like, oh yeah, wow, look how much improvement I got.
Right.
Just because doing something you haven't done before is going to make you better instantly. And then you get to that plateau where you're going to be like, okay, now I'm going to go ride my bike. I'll do something else. But it's, I think right now is a good time because I've been off to the weights and I haven't stretched in so long that just a little bit has gotten me some good results initially.
I love that. The 10 minutes is a really practical, and then slowly build. That's a really practical approach. But you said something really brilliant in there that was small in case people didn't pick it up. Because Kyle Kingsbury also recommended, he gave this yoga site on Mondays that he's like, it has made me a better person. But when you said doing something new is really interesting, because part of the excitement about jiu-jitsu when you're getting your ass kicked, to circle back to what we were talking about, is you're still learning and you're so bad, you're improving a little bit every day. You're going to see improvement. I interviewed this guy, Rob Hubel, who's one of my favorite comedy actor, sketch people. And he used to teach improv, and he said he would love teaching the beginner's class, and that's it, because you'll see the most improvement. They go from like just chaos, nothing, to by the end of the class they're doing like a show, and it's this really rewarding thing to see. And so if people are struggling, because in the beginning I was like, all right, I guess I'll do fucking push-ups and squats, and I'm like, this sucks. But when I started running, just getting out in nature, I was like, oh, this is kind of new, and like, yeah, I'm going a little farther every day, and this is cool. And same with yoga. A lot of people who only have exercised that alpha part of them, maybe doing yoga, it's like, maybe actually get more grounded. Maybe your breathing gets better, which will also affect jiu-jitsu. You'll see results. So learning something new, I think, is like really, really, really good advice.
I feel bad for the people coming back that remember Mike before the quarantine and then run into Super Mike on the mats afterwards. Like, what happened?
Nightmare.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back. I'm not looking forward to my cardio when I come back, but my game doesn't matter for that anyway. So it's, it's nice to not have to change. Like for the last couple of years, I've had to adapt my game based on some injuries, and that sucks.
Yeah.
So real quick before we let you go, everything, like, shamelessly, any way that your students who are listening, hopefully there are some new students checking out this show, anything they can do to continue to support you guys, and then anything people either from around the area, if you want to hype the schools for when you come back, or if there's like online stuff that people in America and around the world listening can do to support you. Because like I said, like your students went above and beyond to make this episode happen. It is all about you. Go for it.
So I think one thing that makes me happy, and I'm sure it'd make a lot of other instructors happy, is we're putting some effort and try to make some sort of social connection through you, and it's all video or Facebook or Instagram, all these little things, and that's hard because it's not the easiest thing to get that connection. And if you're a good instructor, you're, like I said, I'm invested in the growth of my students, and I think anybody around the world, not just my students, put videos, put pictures of you doing your jiu-jitsu stuff, or even if it's a workout, and tag your school, tag your instructor, because man, that's motivating. When I see my students, like they're doing something that we had an online class, or maybe we had a YouTube class, and they get their parents to take a picture of it, or they're taking a picture of themselves, showing what they did, and tag the school. One, it gives us social awareness, like, hey, okay, these guys are still doing something, so that helps your business out. And for the instructors, like, okay, it's making a difference, and
right.
It helps, man. It's really nice. So, man, anything, like, we want to stay connected with you, and it's not always easy, especially like my school's 190 students, so we have a fair amount of students. So to be able to go on Facebook and interact with everybody and throughout a couple of days, like, I can't do that. It's just so much time sitting down. So like you posting a video or a picture saying thanks, or just tagging your instructor or your club, man, that goes a long ways.
Great. And then what's the website so people can find the gym if they're interested?
Oh, geez. Arashido.com is the website. It's
Cool.
kind of like the hub for all the schools on there.
Awesome.
And yours is Arashido North, right?
Yeah, Arashido North is mine. So if you go to Instagram, Arashido North, one word, then you'll see me there.
Well, dude, I got to tell you, when the borders open up, I'm supposed to be doing gigs at the comic strip, which I think is in Edmonton. I don't know. And I'm going to do some stuff with Drew while I'm up there. But just from this interview, I'm so excited to like drop by and fucking train and learn from you. You know, you're the first person we've interviewed that I didn't know. And I feel just as fucking motivated, if not more, than you know, interviews we've done with UFC people and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm very excited to come in and check out the gym.
Man, I'd love to have you out. Like, of course, you're more than welcome, Drew, too. Like, my goal is to have everybody, when they leave the door, be a little bit better than when they came back in, or when they came in. So, man, love to have you out.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. Good luck with everything. And I'm going to go do fucking yoga.
Nice. Okay, it's a pleasure having you, Mike.
Dude, that was fucking great. Oh, hi. Are you recording?
Yeah, now we're good.
You know what? Keep that. That was fucking great. There was no like not insulting way to put it, where I'm like, I don't know who the fuck you are, but that was really inspiring. But like, I actually, because I mean, guys, if you haven't listened to the show, we've like only had very famous people on, and there was
we're pretty careful about that too. There's a lot of people that ask that we say either no or leave unseen.
and by the way, like people with like creds, people with like gold medals and shit like that, we've been saying no to. But there was something really beautiful and inspiring about interviewing someone I didn't know, where he reminded me of like my first coach I had too.
Oh yeah. Well, I knew coming in that Mike was going to be great because he's just an absolute journeyman in martial arts. You know, like he said, he started in the early 90s. So we're talking like almost 30 years deep into this thing. So there's a lot of personality. There's a lot of experience. There's a lot of, you know, you can't stick around something like this for that long and be an idiot.
Right. Very well. Very well. We'll see, guys. If you want to get your school, if your gym owner's an idiot and you want to take Drew up on that. So once again, guys, if you want us to do this with your school, as a way to thank your school, as a way to keep your school afloat, or it's just like a fucking cool thing to do, you can hit us up on the Instagram at Rear Naked Radio or Rear Naked Radio Podcast.com. Monday, check out Monday's episode with the great Kyle Kingsbury from On It, from the UFC, Jiu Jitsu black belt, the philosopher, psychedelic guru. It's incredible. You'll find out why I'm so happy today. I'm very different at the beginning of that episode. And then all the same shit. Join the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the Instagram, rate and review it on iTunes. That'll really help. 5 stars. It seems stupid, but it helps with the iTunes algorithm. And that's all. And if you're new to the show, listen to those fucking.
Yeah, you got 20 episodes to catch up on now.
Yes, and we have worked hard to make sure that they're evergreen interviews about mindset, about mental health, about workout stuff. It's not like, what are you going to do for the fight coming up? And that fight happened a fucking year ago. None of that shit. All of the episodes can be listened to fucking over and over again into, whatever, the next fucking quarantine we have.
Hopefully not. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you on Monday for Talk Kingsbury.